Ooh, we're going dark today. Going real dark. So the question I have is, what would you say to someone that was like, hey, I'm just going to go kill myself? What would you say? What would you do? I can't help but reflect on the point that it's like how often people commit suicide, and it's like, I'm so surprised. Had no idea. Were there any signs? And you can always retroactively look back and see signs. And as I am finishing up the online recording for the Stop the Spread of The Walking Dead, and tweaking it so it can be digestible. I'm trying to convert, a 90-minute presentation that I give to doctors to be digestible and consumable to not doctors. And so I appreciate everyone who has given me feedback on this so I can continue to dissect it. But let's dive into the whole killing yourself thing, because there is a predictable process that happens within our neuroanatomy. And the main neuroanatomy involved is kind of three parts. It is the prefrontal cortex, which is the healing kind of God center of our brain, advanced cognition, flow state, rest, digest, develop, heal. And again, when you use the word develop, it really means upgrade. So when you damage your body, you develop part of your brain tells that damaged part to be stronger. So it's, in essence, it holds true to the "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger" part of our nervous system. And big deal. And then we have the vagus nerve, which then controls 80% of our sensory processing within our body, and tells our brain if we are in a place where we can upgrade or if we're in a place where we cannot upgrade, which is ultimately directly related to the third piece of neuroanatomy, which is the amygdala. And the amygdala is our reptilian center of our brain and is the main input to that sensory part of the brain. So in order to then get the prefrontal cortex online, signals got to be sent up from the vagus nerve through the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. And this is where it becomes tricky, because again, it's constantly perceived and adapting and then normalizing. So any symptom, any status is a perceived survival mechanism. And our brain says, okay, well, what are we going to keep doing? Well, did I die today? I'm going to keep doing that thing. And it's all about surviving. And when the vagus nerve is continually stimulated with perceived unhealthy environment, then what happens is there is a adaptation response that occurs. And our brain will slowly commit suicide to our body if it perceives that that's what it needs to do in order to then live. And so, in essence, every person who has this asymmetry within their fight or flight and rest, digest, develop, heal nervous system, leaning towards the fight or flight process, they are literally killing themselves every day, 24 hours a day. And what do we say, though? Just getting older, you know how it is. Have you noticed that the getting older, you know how it is statement has now dropped down to be people like in their 20s and then the 30s? Have you seen that? Like Parkinson's now is now a condition that kids, young adults, people in their 20s have. You know how it is. And I can't help but wonder, like, do we have to literally get to the point where we're telling each other, like don't want you to kill yourself, which is what you're doing if you're not neurologically balanced. You're committing suicide slowly because of this imbalance, because our environment has turned into a constant activation of the fight or flight part of our brain. So that's the question. If that's the extreme route we have to go, because I mean it. I don't like watching people around me slowly kill themselves, and then make up excuses why their life continues to get harder and why their health continues to degrade. I didn't like going through it myself when I was under investigation by multiple government agencies and openly defying the mask mandates during the pandemic. I didn't like having a body that was slowly killing itself. I didn't like feeling that way. And so how do we respond culturally? Do we keep just trying to placate to people's feelings, like using our words to make them feel good about killing themselves slowly? Or do we take it a step further and take ownership of it, and then encourage each other to join each other in healthy things rather than placating to the justification, right? The rationalization. And I had a member the other day, since I'm going to be leaving in June, and Blaine's taking care of people, and a common thing that people say is, "Oh, I only like this person adjusting me." Kind of one of the reasons why I part of our mission is actually training other people how to be chiropractors without going to school for 8 years, spending $300,000 to learn how to do something as simple as resetting circuit breakers within the spine. And because when a person says to me, like, "I only want you to be the person that works on me," in essence what they're saying is, I'm okay with my body dying and shutting down and self-suiciding. I'm okay with that, because if it's not you, then I don't want to be well adjusted. And that's like a weird thing too, right? It's like, I'm not Jesus. I'm not someone's savior. I just have a skill that is necessary now because of our environment has become so synthetic and inactive and negative. Because if you overload your circuit breakers by overloading that fight or flight response, it's not complicated math. You have to reset the circuit breakers. It's again, it's this kind of like, you think about this building. This building was wired a certain way to handle a certain amount of electrical load. You plug in too many things and it blows the circuit breaker. You don't just name the room and a condition. Oh, that room's got darkitis. You go reset the circuit breaker and you unplug some of the things so that the lights work again, so you can use that room. And in essence, that's what's happening within our body, within this imbalanced brain, this broken brain phenomenon, is circuit breakers are blowing and the brain's activated directly by movement of the spine. So part of the spine, circuit breaker blows, it's no longer moving, that part of the brain also is turned off. It's like 90% of the brain is activated by the spine. So I could use some help, because I could use some help with verbiage. What's a nice way to say, I don't want to watch you just continue to kill yourself? And culturally, we already have the standard. Right? When someone's a drug addict or an alcoholic, that we have an intervention. But again, with those addictions and alcoholism, it has to do with inhibition of the prefrontal cortex. It has to do with asymmetry within the neuroanatomy, and now it's to a point where they measured birth trauma, stress during birth. Kids are born now with overdeveloped or super strong fight or flight parts of the brain. So the tendency for them to get stuck in this fight or flight response, think of an autistic child. What happens when, or an adult, when they get overloaded? They buckle forward because that's the posture of a fight or flight response. And all the way forward is the fetal response, which is the then freeze response. So it's a real cultural significant issue to bring awareness to this brain asymmetry, this broken brain, and in essence, unless it's corrected, self-suicide. And it's been studied. I mean, this isn't theoretical. It's been studied that with every time you adjust the upper cervical spine, it turns on the prefrontal cortex by 25%. And we've seen it in our own office. It's how many people that have been addicted to heroin for years, opioids for years, other pain medications, and then there's no intervention. They just decide to, right? So what would a like an intervention be to someone that is alive in the United States? We can run scans. There's neural scans available that can measure this and quantify it. The surface electromyography measures what's called dyskinesis, or how much of your body is stuck in that contracted position, that fight or flight position. You can do posture analysis, the head forward, the shoulders rounded forward, like in that fight or flight stance. It's all easy to measure. Thermography measures blood flow. So if you have this disconnection, this blood flow is then dampened down or opened up, it'll show up as inflammation, oftentimes in the gut is a big one with the vagus nerve. And then you can measure heart rate variability, which measures this asymmetry between the two autonomic nervous systems and also the vagus nerve function. And so the question that I have, I guess, is another question is are people at a place where they could do an intervention, right? And I guess if everyone's stuck in this imbalanced state, it's kind of one of those things where it's almost like we almost need a buddy system, right? Of like, I'm gonna go get scans done, I'm gonna go get an evaluation done, and because I'm tired of feeling like a zombie, and I would like to feel alive. I'd like to feel joy. And part of the stop the spread of the Walking Dead is that, like, our status is contagious. So I have this let's flip it around if I could, and I'll just kind of point to, like, look at this. This is my niece in the DR on the beach. Right now, watch her as she's running, and if you can, watch the reactions of everyone that sees her. Smile, smile, smile. It's like the Walking Dead status is contagious, but so is joy. And so, how would things look differently if more people could balance out their neuroanatomy, feel joy, be happy, and then spread that to other people, and be accountability systems to each other of, like, I don't want you to kill yourself. I want you to live, because the healthier and happier you are, like, directly impacts those around you. Because again, the amygdala is strengthened by synthetic environment, inactivity, and negativity. So these have to be balanced equivocally with movement, connection, and then creation, or producing something, accomplishment. So you matter. Your happiness matters. And when I say happiness matters, I'm not saying it in the way that everyone says it, of like, I do these things that are harmful to me because they make me happy. That's not happiness. That's drugging yourself. Bourbon makes me happy also, but that's not the happiness we're talking about. I'm talking about, like, ventral vagal, prefrontal cortex engagement, joy. Child running on the beach, joy. Spread it.